Hey guys, I was inactive for a week, or rather I was on vacation for a week, but of course I pre-recorded the videos for you. But today we need to talk a bit about the market again, discuss what's going on, and I just want to give you a little update. On the one hand, we had this Iran-Israel conflict, and just look at the videos from 2 weeks ago. I told you I think it's being blown out of proportion. It's not going to lead to World War I too. The media is exaggerating. So what happened? Exactly as I said it would. Iran struck back, the US got involved and hit back hard as well. Then Iran bombed military bases in Qatar again, but Iran had announced this beforehand. They did that on purpose, and it was only so that Iran wouldn't lose face. But in the end, it was already clear to me, okay, a peaceful settlement will be reached here because Iran absolutely does not want any escalation. What's especially interesting is that these facts show that things aren't really that dramatic anymore. By now, peace is already priced into the markets. That's why we can almost check off this topic already. Looking at our Bitcoin chart, we're now in a very interesting zone that we've really tested many times before. You can see it yourself, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've tested this zone very often. Now, it depends on how sustainably we break through here. I tend to think that if we break through here, we could retest this level again and then head towards $120,000. So I'm currently very optimistic as long as this zone is broken, but the zone does need to break because right now there's too much resistance there. We're also currently in the trend channel on the 4-hour chart where it will be very interesting to see which direction we break out. Whichever direction we break out in, that's the direction things will go for now. The great thing is we were at $108,000 here, but we were a bit overheated due to the funding rate. Right now we're back at $108,000 and we're not overheated at all. I've marked it for you here again. Take a look at this. $108,000, completely overheated, too much leverage in the market. $108,000, not too much leverage in the market at all. At times, we're even negative on the funding rate. That means we still have plenty of room to move up right now and we're nowhere near the overheated zone. This is very, very positive from a Bitcoin perspective because over the past few weeks, more and more selling pressure has been gradually removed from the markets. Because the crazy thing is, as I've shown you over the past few weeks, retail investors have given up because when the Bitcoin price rises, retail also starts to come back in. Of course, retail investors will return at that point. When we had this kind of upward trend here, retail investors also joined in back then. But since the beginning of the year, we've had this crash. Now we've risen again here, but retail investors haven't come back nearly as much as they actually should have. So retail has currently given up, and yet we're standing at $108,000. With these low funding rates, it's incredible what's happening right now. This way, we can rise much higher, and all of it is happening organically. And even though some people expect the summer to be weak, believe me, it doesn't have to turn out that way. In 2017, during the bull run, which actually played out similarly to today, we did really well in Q2 and Q3. The final peak did come in Q4, but Q2 and Q3 were really strong. And in 2017, we already had Donald Trump as president. So the summer doesn't have to be bad. You should keep that in mind. The summer can also turn out quite well because the biggest worries are slowly fading away. One of the biggest concerns our markets have had recently was this whole tariff issue. We had a 90-day pause, which is ending now in July, but Trump already said that we probably won't need any more tariffs and that we could make this pause permanent. That would, of course, be really positive because this whole tariff issue has really scared a lot of investors, even though it was completely exaggerated. And it was clear that most of the tariffs could never have been implemented in that way. And one topic that most people massively underestimate is Big Beautiful Bill. That's a draft law that Trump wants to use to tackle some of the problems in the USA. If this law passes, the USA will sell bonds. If that happens, the Fed will be forced to provide new liquidity to the markets. This liquidity flows back into the system despite high interest rates, and as a result, stocks and cryptos also benefit because capital seeks returns in assets that are scarce. And that's where it gets interesting for stocks, real estate, gold, but of course also for crypto. Accordingly, we will get another injection of liquidity, which is incredibly important, and at the same time, there will be selective tax cuts so that citizens also have more money to invest. The Big Beautiful Bill is really extremely interesting for the entire USA, and it would take us to the next economic level because right now we have a president who is actively fighting to push interest rates down to as low as 1%. He will probably try to do this by replacing Jerome Powell. The crazy thing about this situation is that we currently have very high interest rates, but the S&P 500 is at an all-time high. What do you think will happen if the Fed really pushes interest rates down to as low as 1%? We will feel a surge of liquidity in the markets. You wouldn't even believe it. Something like that would lead us to new all-time highs in all markets. That would inject liquidity into the markets. It will be incredible, and I promise you that. Because believe me, we're already in a pretty good position with the stock markets, but we have extremely high interest rates. If those are lowered in the near future, things will look completely different, because we've never had a situation where rates are cut like that and the traditional markets don't absolutely skyrocket. Something like that will make the markets go absolutely wild, because we're already seeing global liquidity rising sharply in some areas. In the last 7 days alone, we've added $2 trillion to global liquidity. That's insanely huge. We're already getting a ton of money flowing in. What do you think will happen when interest rates start to be lowered gradually? Believe me, capital is going to flood into the markets. People can't even imagine it. And gradually altcoins are becoming more and more interesting too. The Solana ETF is about to launch. There's a 90% chance it will come out this year. The awesome thing here is that Solana already has an 80 billion market cap. If we see inflows of 1, 2, or 3 billion per week, Solana's price will rise incredibly fast. You can't even imagine it. And I think institutional investors are also very interested in this. Accordingly, this is getting really interesting for the altcoins. And we can see that last week, the inflows were simply at $1.6 billion. So here too, with Ethereum, we're seeing really strong growth, while the other chains are losing more and more ground. That's a very positive sign for the Ethereum chain. Starting next year, you'll be able to trade cryptocurrencies at Deutsche Bank every 15 minutes. That will bring an incredible amount of capital and a lot of retail investors back into the market. I mean, Deutsche Bank manages assets worth $1 trillion, which is pretty huge. It's by far the biggest bank in Germany, and it's great to see that they're also moving more and more towards crypto. But since that's only happening in 2026, and because of the current market phase, some people are expecting that this bull run will be extended into next year, or that we'll experience a super bull run. Because one thing is clear, this bull run is being completely drawn out. We were already close to this overheated zone twice, once here and once here end. Both times we were immediately punished for it. Both times we were pushed back down again. In this bull run, we're just climbing up step by step. It's not happening all at once here, and accordingly selling pressure keeps getting released. In the long run, that's positive, but right now people are kind of expecting that we'll see a bigger bull run, which will last significantly longer. The longer the bull run lasts, the higher the price targets we can obviously reach. Just according to the P-Cycle top indicator, we should easily be heading towards $160,000. Even if we overlay the M2 money supply here, we can easily reach $150,000 for Bitcoin without even entering the overheated zone. And those are things I really like. Those are things that make me very optimistic. The only question is, will we do this all at once, or will we continue to climb in steps like this? If that's the case, it suggests that the bull run might even last longer and could extend into next year. At this point, as always, I want to sincerely thank you all. Thank you very much, and see you next time.